It all comes down to this. This one's for all the marbles. Not quite all the marbles, but close enough. By the time the Tigers leave Cleveland this week, we'll know likely who the AL Central champs will be, but it may not be the last matchup of 2025 between these two teams.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on in to this episode of Locked On Guardians. It's a Tuesday, and we are getting ready for the biggest series of the year. 3 of 162 on the calendar, but it's a big one. And this is Locked On Guardians, proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team, your Cleveland Guardians, every single day, covering the Guardians from the majors, the minors, the draft, and everything in between. We'll have a couple of those things on today's show. I'm Justin Lada, and I have been this co-host of this podcast with my friend and co-host Jeff Ellis since October of 2022. That's 3 years, and I keep saying October, it's September to 2022, and I spent 18 years covering the Guardians minor league farm system, top to bottom.
I'm Jeff Ellis. I wandered in off the street today. In all seriousness, it's my 6th year here at Locked On. Before that, I was a national writer focused on prospects in the draft. It's gotten 24/7, where I was the first person to talk about the great steal that was Tarik Skubal, the first person to go on record during his junior and senior year about him being one of the more underrated pitchers in the draft and being just utterly confused by where he landed in both those drafts. I want to thank everyone, each and every person out there joining us, making today's episode your first listen today and every day, wherever it is you get podcasts. I want to give a big shout out to all of our everydayers who are joining us each and every day, including Rally Dino, who's laying down on the job right now. But big thank you to all of you out there joining us. We hit 5K, so that's a big thank you to everyone again. Woo! That's a great number to hit. I mean, we all like round numbers, right? That's just something about our human brain. So thank you to each and every one of us. I remember when I was struggling to get 100 downloads an episode when I started this podcast, and now we have 5,000 subscribers. Not something I thought would ever happen, if I'm very honest, at the very start. So thank you.
Yes, awesome. Appreciate everybody out there who tunes in and subscribes. On today's show, we'll talk about how Manager of the Year awards are voted on and if Stephen Vogt is going to be in that conversation or if he'll win his second one. We'll talk about the return of the former best prospect in the system, Daniel Espino, and what's next for him. We'll start off today's episode, of course, talking about the Guardians and Tigers, the big series ahead this week. Before we get into all of it, today's episode of Locked On Guardians brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. All right, this is it, Jeff, right? This is the only games that matter this season. These are the ones that it comes down to. I gotta say, I know it's been. Expectations are. What do I say? Expectations are
the thief of joy.
Yes, expectations are the thief of joy. Last year, I don't think anybody saw what the Guardians did coming, and then of course you come into this year and you think, okay, well, they're going to be division contenders again this year because that's how it works, and things are not linear ever in sports or mostly in life. Sometimes things are not always linear. Things unfolded in a very unfortunate and frustrating way for the Guardians this season, but somehow, some way, they are back in the playoff race and they are back in serious division contention. Whoever wins the series pretty much has the driver's seat on lock for the division. We can go through some of the scenarios. I think most people listening probably have a good idea of them, but we can go through them a little bit.
Might as well.
Yes. But again, I just want to say, it's been a very fun month, and I know coming into the year and thinking about the offseason that the expectation was, yes, this is where they should be. But given everything that's unfolded, man, it's just been a lot of fun and a gratifying way to end the year that these 3 games against the Tigers are in Cleveland and they pretty much get to decide the division winner. I think that's a lot of fun. That's what you want ultimately as a baseball fan and a sports fan. And then, of course, there's championships. But as far as regular season's concerned, I don't know how this can't be a good thing, but you also have to pair it with the context of what's happened this year. You do.
100%. It's like, listen, even if we want to sit back and make, okay, you can't really get upset about Chase DeLauder because he hasn't been healthy from the moment he was born. You can still look at like Brito at as far as that, as long as I've known him, which I don't know him personally, but through college and the pros, he's never been healthy. Like that's just so if we just put him to the side, it's Juan Brito was healthy his whole career. He got hurt. Travis Bazzana, we thought could maybe help the team this year. He's been healthy his whole career. He got hurt. And then it's obviously the suspensions as well. And it's just like to overcome.
They're not suspensions. They are not on non-disciplinary paid leave. Okay. It's non-disciplinary. How dare you?
They're out there gambling on anything they can find. It's that's one of those things that we have heard that they like to engage in. That these are two players with sounds like allegedly kind of some compulsive
let's
betting.
Let's just move on
attitudes. But it's just they've overcome so much. And like bottom line right now is this has been a ton of fun. It's one of the most funs I've ever had since it was September in baseball. Yes, I would have loved better health. Yes, I would have loved no suspensions. But like for them to get where they are, I would love to have had access to those players, and or the ability to at least
have them pitch.
Yes, and
okay,
but it's just a situation now where it's like this has been fun. I am really enjoying the ride. If you're not enjoying the ride, if you're still sitting there and being curmudgeonly about this, that, or the other, I don't know what to tell you. At least like we're getting playoff baseball right now. And go look at like the Mets that are collapsing. Go look at the Angels who've spent a ton of money and wasted a generational talent. They had two generational talents and couldn't win. There's so many teams that, that don't find success. I mean, even for all the talk of the Rays are now 3 years in a row of not being postseason bound. Like nothing is, is guaranteed. And, what is their
generational talent doing these days? Anyway, speaking of discipline, anyway. So let's quickly run through the scenario. So if the Tigers, let's start with the top one, is if the Tigers somehow sweep this series, which I don't think they will, they are division champs, it's over, then they will have the tiebreaker over Cleveland, so they cannot come back.
But they don't get to celebrate it on the field. It gets to be, they essentially get to lock it up, but then they would have to wait till it essentially go to the end of the year. Like they kind of need one more to officially.
No, the Tigers, if they sweep, it's over. It's over.
It's completely over. I thought they could not find success in Cleveland's field.
If the Tigers sweep, it's over because they'll be up by 3 games, and with 3 to go, they'd have the tiebreaker, so Cleveland couldn't catch them.
Yeah, so but you technically don't. You don't get your magic number down to 0 at that point. So I think they.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. It's over. If they win 3, it's over. Cleveland, the best they would have the tiebreaker, and Cleveland could not do more than tie them if they get swept. So that's
okay. So yes, I guess it is because it's 5 for them.
Yes, it's
5 for them and 5 for Cleveland.
Yes. However, if Cleveland sweeps, they don't win the division on home field on Thursday. They would have to have a win against Texas or a loss by the Tigers to end that.
Interesting because the playoffstatus.com has them both at 5 games. So that would put them both at sweeping, get you the division.
If Cleveland wins, if Cleveland sweeps, Detroit leaves town back 2 games with 3 to play. So if Cleveland wins 2 of 3, the Tigers have to sweep. So there's still some ground made up there. If Detroit wins 2 of 3, they essentially need Detroit to get swept by Boston, and Cleveland's got to sweep the Rangers, so they become very dire. So
I think 5 is for both teams to kind of lock up the wild card, and 6 is to win the division for the Tigers, and it might be 7 for the division for the Guardians. So that's what I was misunderstanding.
Yeah. So the Tigers could clinch it on home on enemy territory. The Guardians can't clinch, but they can essentially. That's why I said whoever wins this series, whoever wins 2 out of 3, is essentially in the driver's seat for the Central. It would take a sweep over the weekend by the other team, and then the other team to at least lose 1 of 3 for him to come back. So it's pretty good odds to clinch the division if you win 2 of 3 this week. So we'll see what it comes down to. We'll talk about what we think is going to decide the series. We'll talk about key matchups. We'll talk about Daniel Espino. We'll talk about manager of the year, how much that really does matter, coming up on the rest of today's Locked On Guardians.
But first, You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There's so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist, I love it when we have science here, recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically proven, important words there again, clinically tested, I should say, that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. I also love the word proactive. Maybe it's the parent, maybe it's the teacher. Proactive approaches, always the best approaches. Listen, I wear a hat for a reason. You can tell. It's mid-40s. I'm getting the hair thinning. It's not as bad as my dad's, but it's something we all go through. I can be very honest about that. So if you want to see thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol, for a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off their first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code Locked On MLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code Locked On MLB.
Hey, shout out. So we've said this before. Shout out to all the everydayers. Thanks for helping us get to 5K and subscribers on YouTube. So if you're new to the channel, hit the bell on YouTube, because you get every episode. You get alerted by that. You get alerted to every reaction video, every video we do for any sort of breaking news item, plus the MLB Squad show, which will be back this week. And, of course, auto download on audio, so you never miss an episode wherever you listen to podcasts as well. All right, so we kind of set things up. We talked about the implications of who wins what and where that happens. We've got Tarik Skubal and Gavin Williams. So the Guardians, once again, when they flipped Williams and Bibee last week, they set up Williams to pitch twice against the Tigers, and he also is lined up to pitch on Sunday against the Rangers. So he is going to start the final game of the season, whereas Tarik Skubal can also do the same thing. He can also pitch on Sunday if that matters. And I'll get to why that might be important before we end this segment. I promise you that. The Guardians did beat Tarik Skubal. They didn't beat him, but they beat the Tigers on a day he pitched last week. That might be hard to do twice in a row. We'll see.
They didn't. I thought they beat him. I thought weren't the home runs off of him, or is it only Noel's?
It was only Noel's. Yeah,
okay.
The other home runs came off the bullpen after him. So they technically won.
What, Jose had the other one, the 2-run shot after that, and they won on that.
Yeah, off of Troy Melton. So
that's right.
What I think this series comes down to, obviously, it's going to be pitching. We know it's going to be pitching, and I like Williams to be able to at least go toe to toe with Skubal. I'm not saying he's as good as Skubal, but for one game, I think he can keep them in it. And then you got Tanner Bibee and Jack Flaherty. I'll take Tanner the way things have gone this year. Flaherty's gone in the wrong direction. Tanner's finally gone in the right direction. And then we have no idea who's pitching for the Tigers on Thursday, but it's Parker Messick. And the thing is, we know the Tigers, talked about this last week, the Tigers do hit better against lefties, which is surprising given that Green and Carpenter are the two best hitters, because they have Ibanez, and then they also have Torkelson,
Wenzel Perez.
Better. Wenzel Perez. Clyber Torres is better against lefties. But the Guardians' bullpen is in much better shape. I can't tell you, I know they lost on Sunday, but I can't tell you how important it is that Cade Smith didn't pitch 3 days in a row. He has not pitched. I looked it up earlier today. He had a stretch there at the beginning of the middle of the month where he didn't pitch for 3 days in a row. That was August. And he's got a 2.70 ERA with a FIP below 1 since the last time he had 3 days off in a row. He might be able to pitch all 3 games of the series because of those 3 days off. That's massively important for a bullpen that's a little bit thin in terms of who you really trust. They are going to have the more rested bullpen. I know they have the off days, but the Tigers bullpen is really not in good shape. I think the Guardians, obviously, they got hit with 2 outs. The Guardians have a much better case right now with runners in scoring position than the Tigers in the second half, or at least the month of September. That's got to continue. It's going to have to be the same formula it's been. It's going to be, can the Guardians, can they stop Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter? Now, Riley Green's not been good since August, but they also have to be able to get their lefties in there and get them out too, which is Messick, and you're going to have to use Zabrowski. You might have to use Heron, because you just got to use everyone in that bullpen. So it's going to come down to how much that's been the Guardians' formula, has also been to limit how much their bullpen needs to pitch. The Guardian starters have the most innings in the second half in the month of September by their starting rotation. The Tigers have the 5th worst ERA by their bullpen, and they lead baseball in innings pitched in the month of September, which is why they're so bad. Their bullpen has been overused. The Guardians has been little used. So to me, that's what it comes down to, I think, in this one.
Yeah, and like if we just look at second half data, Cleveland's 91st in WRC plus, tied with Houston. It's not great. It's 7th worst, but Detroit's down to a 96. And we talked about like where they were. They were number 1 in the early half of the year. And, specifically, if I go over here and look at the second half pitching data and look at relievers, I believe they have a negative WAR. Like you have to get into their pen because it's really bad for them. Yep, it's a -2, which is tied with Minnesota. Negative 0.2, I should say. So the whole thing is going to be getting in the pen. Listen, the FIP is the 4th worst in amongst bullpen in baseball. Only Miami, Atlanta, and Colorado are worse. And let's be honest, Colorado's a AAA team. I'm not really. That's not really I think we all agree to that. Like Colorado's a AAA team. Let's be real honest.
I know. Just saying it out loud, it's like baseball needs relegation.
They kind of do. But more to the point with this, not to just completely bury Colorado, who Cleveland dropped a game they shouldn't have dropped. So that's kind of extra annoying this year when you go back and look at the grand scheme of things. But the first game, I'm not going to get up and down on. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh no, the season's over. Yeah, Skubal's a hard matchup. And no matter what happens in that one, you are sending Gavin Williams. This is not the game, not gameplay. Well, I took the darn class and now I can't even get it right.
Theory.
This is in the game theory approach to throw your ace against their ace. But the reason you're doing this is because whoever pitches this game will also pitch the last game of the season. Like this is your last chance to get 2 starts. So there's a reason to do that. After that, though, Flaherty has not been strong this year, or Flaherty for our everydayer out there. But and then Keter Montero got lit up. And the Tigers, you and I were talking off air, like they're a team where their pitching in general, it's Skubal and then it's a mess. And, if you're not paying attention at home, guess what? Skubal is a free agent after next season. So the Tigers are kind of in this weird situation where like their best window to win is probably this year and next year, because after that, Tarik Skubal is going to get $400 million or more on the open market. So it's a really interesting situation when you're looking big picture at this Tigers team, because no matter how good that next group is coming up, like it is hard to get that lockdown. Lockdown lefty gives you such an advantage too. Like Kluber was great and he won, as much as people like to rag against when things went sideways. It was a little bit due to overuse, but like when you have that elite pitcher and they're also a lefty, it really gives you an advantage. And he did everything he could last postseason to help the Tigers win. It was definitely not his fault. So when I'm looking at the big picture of this with this team, no matter what happens in game 1, the more important games to me are game 2 and 3, because again, Skubal is Skubal. He's the best pitcher in baseball for my money. And then after that, you got to take those next 2. That's where you got to make your money. That's where you got to make your hay, no matter what happens. Game 2, game 3.
Yeah, and the Guardians only need to win 1 to clinch the season series. So having that tiebreaker,
I would still feel better with 2. Let's be honest.
Absolutely, it would. It would feel better with 2. But you take 1, you still force the Tigers to have to finish a game better than you. You could still finish the year tied, and they have to play the Red Sox, and Cleveland gets to play the Rangers, who are essentially toast.
I know, but the Red Sox might be trying, but they've been trying for a week, and it hasn't done any good. Tigers, I understand.
And the reason that Tarik Skubal pitching on Tuesday and possibly Sunday is important, we'll tell you when we come back here in just a second. And we'll talk Daniel Espino, we'll talk Manager of the Year, all kinds of fun stuff still to come on this episode of Locked On Guardians. NFL season, it is here and it is wild. The Browns even won. That's how wild this NFL season is. FanDuel is making sure you are ready for kickoff with a can't miss offer right now. If you're a new customer, if you want to be a new customer, all you got to do is join and bet $5. And if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets from FanDuel to use across the app. We've seen offers of $150, $250. I've never seen $300 before. This is the most I've ever seen them offer for that first $5 bet. Let's talk Guardians-Tigers game 1. The over-under in that game is 6.5. That's going to be interesting because that might be close. That might be very close. I was going to come out here and say, no matter what, smash the under because Skubal versus the Guardians, Tigers offense has not been good. Guardians pitching has been great. I would have said smash the under, but I could see a 4-3 game. I'm thinking more 3-2. So I'm probably going to say it's an under. That's going to be very, very dicey. And then the Guardians somehow or the Tigers are favored by 1.5 runs too. So that's going to be also a fun bet to look at. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now and visit FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Quick shout out to all of our insiders. We had a fun chat before recording this podcast on Monday night. We talked all things reliever who will not be named, starting pitcher who will not be named. We talked Colorado Rockies. That's why I was saying that. We talked Jack Flaherty. What else?
Did you talk about Tyler Freeman's implosion for the Rockies after all the consternation?
Someone did bring up Tyler Freeman. We were talking about.
He's down to a 90 with really bad defensive ratings. So,
yikes! Yeah,
a trade that nobody won.
For now, yeah, we'll see. All kinds of fun stuff we talked about, and we do that, once in a while. That's the fourth one we've done this year, I think. If you want to be part of that, it's joinsubtext.com/LockedOnGuardians. We do that. We have some bonus content like that, and we also have chats during the game through texting, some inside info when we get it, access to all of our written content, which is like prospect rankings, Jeff's draft stuff, my ebook on prospects, which I'll update over the offseason. So that's joinsubtext.com/LockedOnGuardians. You could find that link in the episode description as well. Might be a fun time to get in on that as the playoffs come closer and the Guardians could be in. So the reason Tarik Skubal pitching on Sunday is potentially big is because if that game does matter for the Tigers, he pitches Sunday to pitch him into the playoffs. They are playing in the first round no matter what. The Tigers are not going to get a first round bye. I feel pretty strongly about that. Tarik Skubal, if he pitches on Sunday, Jeff, he cannot pitch in the wild card series. The wild card series is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So unless they would go to him on short rest, so he would have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. He would have to pitch on 3 days rest in game 3, which I'll admit they probably would do. But they have to get to game 3 with him or try to win in the first 2 without him to set him up for the LDS. So if you're the Guardians, this may not be the last matchup with the Tigers. The Guardians and Tigers very well this time next week could be playing the wild card series, and it might be at Detroit or it might be at Cleveland. But if the Guardians are playing the Tigers in the first round of the playoffs, the wild card series, there's a good chance they won't have to see Tarik Skubal because he's going to probably have to pitch on Sunday to do that. Now they could if the Tigers somehow sweep this week, he probably doesn't pitch Sunday because that's it. That's the season's over for Cleveland as far as the division's concerned. So if you beat the Tigers once this week, you probably force Tarik Skubal to pitch on Sunday, and if you play him in the playoffs next week, you might not see Skubal until game 3, and even then it's on short rest. So that's a very important distinction for them. And now the same could be said with Gavin Williams too. So you'd be Tanner Bibee and Messick or Cantillo or Ciccone. But I got to be honest, I feel kind of better about them than I do the rest of the Tigers rotation. Don't you?
Potentially, yeah.
That's my bias, but yeah.
It's. I do, yeah, I would, and that's a debate. Well, if they make the postseason, that's going to be our first show. It's like, who is starter 3? That's another thing. 2 things I spent some time thinking about today on my planning periods, because we have tomorrow off here. Was what wins Skubal up and how's that going to affect the Tigers and what might that contract look like? And the second one was like, who's our game 3 starter? So that's definitely something. If things go right, we'll have to be looking into in the future. But I do feel better because the Tigers. The one thing we know about these playoff starters is, there's a tendency to have that hook a lot quicker, but the Tigers don't have the ability to do that with just what a mess their pen has become.
Yeah. All right. One of those guys who will not be pitching in October for Cleveland, he'll be down in Arizona, is Daniel Espino. He made his debut last week in Columbus, his AAA debut, the first game he's pitched in over, I think it was 1,700 days or something crazy he had missed. Really glad to see him come back first and foremost, be come back and healthy and pitch well. And I say pitch well. I know some people really point out the box score. And I'm like, guys, the box score doesn't matter. If he went out there and threw 89-mile-an-hour fastballs, that would not be good. But that's not the case. He was throwing 96 to 98. He almost hit 99. The slider was there. He threw a couple changeups that looked really good. And he's healthy. He came off that feeling really good. So my question to you now, Jeff, is I dropped Espino way down in my rankings, but I still ranked him. You basically acted like Daniel Espino didn't exist. How far up?
I had him in the top 20.
Oh, you did? Really?
Yeah,
I thought you didn't rank him.
No, I kept him in the top 20.
I'm sorry. It was Valera. It was Valera.
Yes, Valera I didn't rank.
Yes,
but,
that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? Egg on my face, because I had Daniel Espino way down my list. You were up higher. Does Daniel Espino vault into your top 10 after the Arizona Fall League?
No. And the reason for that is because I don't think he's going to be a starter long term, and I never value relievers as high as I value, other positions. But I mean, I had him like 20, and even after the first year of his injury, I had him in the teens or like early teens. Like I've been kind of like holding off on the drop because the stuff is so good. Like he had the DeGrom starter kit, right? So it's like when I'm looking at him and I'm looking at what he can do, the bigger question for me, I guess, is more, it's like
okay.
that. So it's like right now, the 11, it's the big debate, probably around 11 and 12 for me, honestly, where it's like Rosario and him are kind of probably in that, like, and Austin Peterson in that grouping of guys. I mean, so Ralphie is ahead of him. Travis is ahead of him. I'm still going to keep Churio and Hanau ahead of him.
Let's talk names. So Bazana, definitely not over Espino there.
Yeah.
Hanau, Burrito, not Burrito, I'm sorry. Velasquez, obviously not.
Yes.
Doughty, obviously not. There's a chance that Kafis and Messick both graduate, so you got to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
You're not putting him above Rosario, you said.
No, he's in the debate range. Like that's where I started to get into the
all right.
But like I'm not going to put him ahead of Chase at this point. I probably wouldn't put him ahead of Burrito at this point either, just because of the
not
health.
Engel. Yeah, not Engel.
Not Engel. Yeah. So it's like,
yeah. Ooh, here's a good question for you. Would you put him above Jace Laviolette?
Yes. I mean, yes. I mean,
that is a wild answer. Not that I'm saying it's wrong. I'm just saying.
I'm not high on Laviolette. I mean, my midseason rankings, Espino was 22 and Laviolette was 16. So like for me, that's not that big of a. I mean, I'm probably going to move Oki ahead of Laviolette. I had Oki at 20 in my midseason.
Yeah, agreed.
So
same
like
here. I had Oki way down too.
Like here's the thing: Oki and Espino. Right now, at the midseason rankings, my 10th was Rosario, Ralphie 11th, Hartle 12, and then I had Peterson at 13, and then there was Walters who's hurt. So it's like, honestly, Oki and Espino are kind of moving into that 13, 14, 15. They could shoot up somewhere from like 9 to 15 is really a good debate point for me. So him and Oki, honestly, are like moving into that range because also I don't think Oki's going to be a starter. Like I think he is probably a reliever as well.
Fair enough.
So I'm probably going to have Espino ahead of Oki, closer in spite of the health, better overall stuff. Not to say that Oki stuff isn't fantastic, but Espino was listed as having the best fastball and the best slider in baseball at the time in the minor league baseball. Or was it the best?
Yep.
He had the two of the best pitches in baseball, and he was the owner of the, that fastball is considered the best pitch in minor league baseball at the time. So like he's going to be higher, but also, for all of my complaining about all the injuries this year, how nice is it that we're talking about a top 16 where like, Hartle, Laviolette, like that's the tier of it right now. That's where this system is.
Yeah. Given the injuries too, for sure. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's just funny that Espino comes back, but DeLauder stays hurt, and then Bazana and Burrito go down. It's like, couldn't have it all. One of them had to fall for the other one to come back. I don't want to say, had to die for someone to come back because no one died, but it's just crazy that
it's the natural attrition. It's like, we talked about all the years before Zibin and Campbell and guys like that, and just all. I mean,
Justin Campbell might end up never pitching for Cleveland, because he didn't pitch at all this year. The minor league season's officially over, and he's not on the AFL roster either because he's never thrown a pitch in a game that actually is tracked publicly.
Yeah, and he's Rule 5 eligible.
Woo! Yeah, that's at least Jacob Zibin came back before that happened for him. The other thing too, it was really exciting was Espino came back and went to AAA. So you got some, obviously AA was over, but you got some data on him. So we got to see some public data, and we saw that his extension, shocking, is really good. That's only going to help his fastball, right? everything. It was just so exciting to see all that. He threw strikes too. That's the other thing too. He threw strikes. Like he threw 21 pitches, 15 for strikes. Like again, guys, the box score doesn't matter. There were 2 blue pits. I'm sorry, there's 1 blue pit, and the other one was a ball that Christian Cairo tried to get to but couldn't. He couldn't come up with the throw. It wasn't an error, but it was one of those hard to make plays. And then Tanner Burns came in and allowed a home run that allowed Espino's runs to cross the plate. So that box score does not matter. The only thing that mattered was, did Espino come back? Did he look like he used to? Yes. He looked like a guy who, with some more reps, with more consistency, is close to the guy he was before. Will he ever be 100% of what he was before? Probably not. That's a lot to ask. We'll see what happens in the Arizona Fall League. But we got to see pretty much everything we were looking for in that outing, and he came away, I think, looking as exciting as ever. I'm with you. I'm pretty sure he's going to be a reliever long term. But hey, if Daniel Espino is in your bullpen next season in Cleveland, I will take that, because that means he's healthy, the stuff is good, and he could be your future closer, because they might need one next year. Or, someone to set up Kate Smith at least.
Yeah, I'm willing to, figure out that whole situation, but arms like that just don't come around. So it's a special talent.
And the best part is you're gonna get the options back on him too, because he's missed so much time. You don't have to worry about the options. He's gonna get him back. So, or at least one. So that's always a good thing. I'll be curious what they do with him. They haven't said what his role in Arizona is going to be, but it's hard to imagine him pitching more than 2 innings at a time, especially moving into the off season. But we'll see what happens come spring training. We'll worry about that next year, because we still have a lot to talk about when it comes to this year's team. The playoffs are essentially here. The Guardians are in a series with the Tigers this week for all the marbles. I'll be there Wednesday. Hope to see you all there. Hope the ballpark is packed. Of course, Jeff, we did not get to the manager of the year conversation today, like we knew we wouldn't.
Yeah.
We'll touch on that later this week. We also got to talk Guardians-Tigers game 1 tomorrow. We got to talk more about Josh Hartle. We still haven't talked about one of the Guardians assistant GMs being up for another job. So we've still got a lot of things to talk about all week long, starting with this series. It's going to be fun. Buckle in. Every night's going to be tense.
It's playoffs. Let's be very honest. It's playoffs every day here with this team. So buckle in, enjoy, and again, enjoy them.
Stay locked on.
Just locked in and enjoy them.
God, no! Don't say that.
Enjoy them. Thank you all for joining us. Remember to rate and review, download daily. It helps. Comment below with when you give up on the season and when you jump back in. Thank you all for joining us, and go Guardians, go!
Beat Jack Flaherty
and Tarik Skubal.